Niagara Falls, home to one of the most beautiful attractions in the world. Except that it is haunted, full of graveyards, and full of attractions that most people don't know about. But today, we're going to be unpacking those places.
I'm with my grandparents.
Hi, I'm Gord Dick. Just call me Grandpa.
My grandparents have been tour guides for many years in Niagara, and they're going to help us explore the place.
Niagara Falls, more or less Niagara-on-the-Lake, is known for its laid-back qualities, and there's just way too many wineries. But besides getting drunk off a wine tour, you can visit ghosts.
Do you believe Niagara is haunted?
I was raised here. I lived in a house that I know was haunted. I've seen ghosts, and everybody that I grew up with had a ghost story.
Let's find out. Is it just for walking, you think?
We can walk up there if that's all right.
Yeah. The road was always like this?
Always like this, yeah. We used to run our bikes up and down here, racing each other, doing tricks. Every now and then when it was hot, we'd wade in and cool off.
In the lake?
There was a creek back here.
Creek.
My grandfather actually grew up in Niagara Falls, so it was nice to see him reminisce on some memories.
So this is a memorial?
Yeah.
Lieutenant Colonel John Butler.
So this is a burial ground for the Butler family. They were some of the early settlers in Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Right where?
Where the stone wall is.
The stone, there's a ghost?
Well,
We used to pretend?
Yeah, they filled in the area in front of it, but it was open as a crypt where they had buried other people.
Oh, whoa.
And we used to pretend that there were ghosts in there and scare each other.
So oddly enough, when I was filming my grandpa, half of what he got about the memorial that I'm on didn't pick up the audio. So we're just gonna have to roll with that, but that's sketchy. This is all stuff from the 1800s, he said, so let's check it out. Now, I've seen some spooky and felt some spooky things in my lifetime, and I don't think I've experienced this amount of uncomfort being in a graveyard.
That's a snake. Grandpa, there's a snake.
This is good. I think that's my cue to leave. That's a snake. That's literally a snake.
Okay, that's a little creepy. He used to pretend there's ghosts here. That's what he said. I don't think I've ever seen a snake. It was a garden snake, but I don't think I've ever seen one in the wild.
Years since I've seen buttercups.
What's oh, these? Buttercups.
After exploring the memorial, my grandpa took me out to see some more so-called haunted houses that he knew of.
A lot of the old houses were abandoned. This is one of the houses, and they're just finishing the renovations of it now. There were no doors, the windows are broken. We used to go inside and just root around, and as kids we'd hide it behind different things and scare each other. There's a ghost story about this particular house where fire would appear in the second floor, and it would just appear occasionally. Some people thought it was young kids like us, mischief, but because there was nothing ever shown up, we can't answer that question. Do you want to get out and take a picture of the fort and come back?
Yeah, just me?
Yeah.
So I'm going to Fort Mississauga by myself because we couldn't really find a parking spot. This is Fort Niagara, the lake behind me. That's what they told me to say. So that's fun. It's a golf course here, so there's a lot of people. This is Fort Mississauga. Let's read up about it.
Mississauga Point was the location of the neutral First Nation fishing settlement in the 15th century. The area was under control by the Seneca Nation during the late 17th century, and it became home to the Mississauga Nation by the 18th century. Fort Mississauga began during the War of 1812, helped out British and Canadians to defend Niagara frontier against a powerful invading American army in 1814. Oh, there's so much bugs. This is... I feel terrified. Ghosties! much history on this land. It's kind of insane. Look at that! I never thought. This is beautiful. Absolutely stunning. I think that is America. If I'm wrong, let me know. Grandpa, how old do you think this building is?
Early 1800s. It was built after 1815. And it's always been an inn.
Now, regarding the Angel Inn and its hauntings, this place was full of people. It was actually a restaurant, but I remember some of the stories my grandfather sat me down and told me about, and one is in the basement, which is literally where I'm heading right now. Apparently, there was a soldier that hid in a barrel away from the American soldiers, and he hid trying to survive, but the Americans, I guess, were like stabbing the bayonets, you know, they killed him eventually. It wasn't that haunted feeling. I guess there was a lot of history to it. Too many people to really tell. The food was great. I had food, burger.
So I'm off to see the Prince of Wales Hotel. And let me tell you, I don't know for sure if the battery is dying on my camera, but it was 3 bars and now it's 1. I'm gonna see if my battery kicks up again, because they say this happens a lot, so you know what that means.
The Prince of Wales seemed to be a regular dining hotel, brunch section area. The architecture was very cool. Regarding hauntings, it felt okay in there. It wasn't that spooky. The hallways were pretty, I don't know, backroomy in my opinion. But even when I went up to ask one of the workers if they had any haunted experiences, she didn't say much.
I actually just have a quick question. So I'm just doing a little journalism entry for YouTube about the Prince of Wales and how it's haunted. Are there any stories that you can quickly share? Any stories about your haunted experiences? No?
I don't know exactly.
Do you guys think I'm convincing enough? They didn't give me much, but they gave me a piece of paper on the history of it, so we're gonna look through that.
As it was getting later in the day, we decided to explore one last section of Niagara Falls that had the most history to my grandfather. His childhood home.
The house behind me is where I lived until I was 15 years old. The house, we didn't really take much notice, but it was haunted. The front door was always locked. Sometimes it was wide open when we got up in the morning. There were stairs, 13 stairs, up to where the attic would have been. In the night, we would hear 13 steps up the stairs. One night, we heard someone playing the piano, a distinct melody that none of us would have played. I personally saw 2 apparitions. One was a man standing at the front door. When I turned to tell our babysitter that it was there, it disappeared. It was a snowy night, but there were no footsteps. The other time was my brother and I were watching television, and a lady appeared next to where the fireplace was, and she was knitting, and she disappeared just as quickly.
To conclude this video, I don't think we found much proof that Niagara is haunted, but I would hope that you go visit yourself to really feel the energy there. There's so much history and so much personal experiences that I get to relive once in a while when I go on adventures with my grandparents. I feel like I'm very lucky to have my grandparents, and if you have your grandparents as well, go hang out with them, go on adventures with them, because one day it won't be there. And I think that's the whole purpose of this adventure, is just to spend time with family, reminisce on memories, and explore what the world has to offer us. Thanks for watching.